If I were to ask you, what is the most common thing people say to you or question that you get, what would it be? As you think about it, I want you to kind of pull out the first thing that comes to your mind. The first thing that comes to my mind is people usually say, you know, you think different or you process things different, or where'd you get that wisdom from, right? And it's not because I have this high level of intelligence, but it's because I've mastered what is inside of here in order to become the person that I need to become, to accomplish what I need to accomplish in order to have everything that I want inside life and fulfill my fullest potential that God put me on earth to do, right? So if you're somebody who, even if you said something positive, negative, or superficial or deep, if you're somebody who's been trying to figure out how to get out of this rut, how to get from being stuck in the cement of, life that is stopping you from going forward, this video is for you. And it's not going to be the type of video that I'm going to tell you to, just think positive or change your mindset in its simplest form, because not only will I be doing you a disservice, but I don't care about your motivation. And I don't think just thinking positive and saying affirmations work, right? I believe truly that we have to expose the thing that is actually causing you to be stuck, and then give you the tools so that you can break through the wall and then actually move forward, right? So that's what I'm going to do for you in this video. And when I say that I've mastered what's going on up here, obviously in my mind, but the mind itself, right? And there are levels that we climb up into the mind that we figure out why people accomplish what they accomplish or don't accomplish what they seek to do, right? And the first level is beliefs, right? So when we think about a belief is a conviction or an acceptance that an idea, a concept, a fact is true, whether you have proof or not, whether you have evidence or not, right? You have this idea that that was presented to you, that you say, okay, I can get with that, and now I'm going to start thinking about these things in that way, right? So you might think to yourself that the grass is greener on the other side. Cool. If you move to that new city, you might get shocked, right? Because you don't have any proof on why that grass might be greener in that city, et cetera, et cetera. Just give me a quick example, right? And then we have mindset, right? So now your mindset, as we all heard, it's what your mind is set on. Well, that's too simple. Your mindset is an attitude or a framework for which you view and interact with the world, right? So I'm from New York City, so every time I'm, born and raised in New York City, so my head is on a swivel, right? So because my head is always on a swivel, even when I'm in other cities, very safe cities, my head is always on a swivel because I understand my framework of interacting and viewing the world, right? My attitude on the world is that not everybody is all hunky dory, kumbaya, trying to be your friend, dap you up. They get in close to try to take something from you. That was the experience that I had, and we'll get into that, which now helped shape the way I interact with the world, and it's kept me safe until now. So I'm going to continue that, right? So that's that, and then we have the highest level, which most people miss, and most people miss because most people that I interact with um, out in the world don't really view the world as spiritual first. So this level is a little bit more on a spiritual level, though the tools that I'm going to give you can work on a carnal level or a natural level, is a stronghold, right? So for you to understand a stronghold, because it's not really a word that we use nowadays, I got to back it up and I got to take you back to the Old Testament scripture. I want you to just think like a hole in a rock, a cave up on a high mountain where somebody will go escape to for safety, security, or running away from danger or enemy, right? Similar to what David was hiding in when he was running away from Saul, right? So it's a place of safety. But that in that place of safety, there is no exit on the backside. So if your enemy finds you and comes inside, you are now closed and entrapped in, right? So I have a technical definition for a stronghold, right? A stronghold is a pattern of thinking that you have that, let me run it perfectly, right? So a stronghold is a pattern of thinking or a set of belief based on a set of beliefs that is reinforced by an operating entity. That's where the spiritual nature comes in, right? So a pattern of thinking based on a set of beliefs that is reinforced by an operating entity. And it's an entity like lies that that contradict the truth of God, then it's not for you, and it's a stronghold that will be damaging to your future, right? This is what Paul is talking about in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4 and 5, where he says, "For the weapons of warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down every imagination and every high thought that um, that exalts itself above the knowledge of God, or every argument that exalts itself of the knowledge of God, bringing captive every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ." Right. So this is what he's talking. This is the principle that we pull out of that, is that our mind can be running and racing with thoughts, beliefs, and setting in a mindset that keeps us trapped and not realizing the fullness of our potential that God has for us to walk in this earth. Right. I remember I went to Thailand a few years back, probably 2018. I went to Thailand and we went to this elephant sanctuary. And when at first I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to an elephant sanctuary. I'm not dealing around these big animals. If it's not a dog or goldfish, I'm not doing it. But the woman that I was with at the time wanted to go. So I was like, all right, for you, got to put on a brave face. So we went. And at first I really wasn't having it. But what they did when we got there is they gave us these like little cloaks or tunics, whatever you want to call them, that were really colorful. And they said, as long as you wear these, you'll be safe from the elephants because they'll see you as one of us, right? So as we go and, we feed in the elephants, we patting them, we walking them, we playing with them in the mud and everything else like that, washing them down. And I noticed something, that the elephants were roaming free. They didn't have no chains or leashes on them or anything like that. They were just kind of roaming and following around the people. And I learned that when you train an elephant, what you do when they're a baby and they're not really that strong, you tie these strong chains to their ankles and tie it to a tree stump so that when they move and they're trying to move around, they can't break the chains, right? They're not strong enough to break it. So eventually they stop and they give up from actually trying to move. And now what happens is, as they grow up, they have now been conditioned in their mind to believe that this territory that I'm in is all that I have access to. This is all that I can actually venture out to, right? I can journey to. So they have a conditioning about the parameters in which they have to stay in. And they have a conditioning that when I see this colorful cloak, that person is in charge of me. Though I'm a powerful animal and I can actually overtake you if I want to, they don't see it as that, right? So this is what a stronghold is. And your stronghold can come in the area of your career. I'm not good enough for a job, or I can never get a job, I can never hold a job, or I'm not qualified to go and try to and start this career. And it can come in your relationships. I'm not good enough for love. I'm always getting rejected, right? There's core things, my health. What if, right? I have a whole bunch of what ifs, right? And these are things that people say who have strongholds. They have been conditioned to believe a thing, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, whether it be from an external party or internal, or from internally, that keep you stuck in the very space that you actually don't want to be, but because you are stuck in that space, you don't know how else to think or how else to break it, because you don't have evidence or proof to change your beliefs, right? So we have to move on. We have to stay in a space where we feel uncomfortable acknowledging that, wow, this is actually a belief that I have that is creating a pattern of thinking that is keeping me stuck, right? This is the most uncomfortable part of breaking strongholds, is identifying that, wow, this is my belief. And I hear some people call it a choice, right? It's my choice to believe this, right? But if I were to present something to you differently, would you take that? Would you take it and actually implement the steps, right? I think of even people who have positive, negative and positive strongholds or deep rooted patterns of thinking in life. If you have such a strong opinion about something, sometimes it puts blinders on, and it blinds you to the possibilities of things outside of those blinders that you can't see, that will now actually help you move forward in life, right? So we can't actually keep our blinders on as we walk in life, whether you have negative or positive strong opinions, because somebody might present you from the side, right? Somebody might present you from the side the very thing that might help expand your horizon, expand your territory, expand your mind, to now help you move forward. And that's where I'm coming to now. How do we break those beliefs? Again, breaking the beliefs are not just about thinking positive, chanting affirmations and doing the whole thing over and over until you see something. That's not real, right? It's about creating actual change with intentional action in order to create breakthrough, right? We want to break the stronghold. We want it to crumble. We want it to never be something that pops up again. And this is what we do, right? So we have to identify first the limiting belief. What is the thing that has built up this pattern of thinking, which we call a limiting belief, right? And a lot of times we see limiting beliefs that come in the form of a few different types of phrases. Um, I'm always screwing up, or I'm never, I've never been the type of person that, um, with my luck, dot, 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 right? So I think when you place those things behind anything that you probably said for yourself before, with my luck, this is going to go all backwards. With my luck, I'm going to get right to point, I'm going to get right to Y, but then I'm going to get canceled before I go grab Z. Why? Why would you say that about yourself, right? Because it's a belief that you have. With my luck, or I've never been the type to be able to keep a relationship. Why do people say that? Right? I've never been the type. I used to have somebody who used to say, I've never been the type that was good at math or charts or anything else like that. And I say, well, you never been the, before you started getting your license, or before you got your license, you never been the type to drive. So when are you going to change from never being the type to being the type? You have to first identify that that's actually a limiting belief. There's something about you. There's something about that's being reinforced inside of your mind, outside of the truth of God, that tells you that you're not good at math, that you're not good at looking at charts. There's something there. There's something that tells you that, not only that, but it's something that tells you that you're incapable of doing it. You're incapable of becoming one who is good at it. I challenge you here. Everything that you have done or tried up until this point, whether you have failed or not, and learned a lesson, has not killed you. You have moved forward, and at some point in time, you have figured out with some sort of proficiency to do the things that you really want to do. So, if it was something that you really wanted to do, you will identify the limiting belief first, and then continue to move forward so that you can figure out how to get the proficiency to the thing of the thing to help move you out of those cement shoes that you have, right? So that's step number one. We have to identify the limiting belief based on your statements, based on what you're doing. One of mine is the I shoulds. I should be here. I should be da da da. Right? I'm being transparent. I'm helping you out. I'm helping you go through your mind to help you out. Secondly, you need to replace the belief with a truth. Right? You need to replace the belief with the truth by finding evidence in your life, circumstances that you have been through that counter what you have said. Right? I had a friend when I was getting certified. I had somebody who was getting certified at the same time as me, and well, they were trying to get. I was a little bit behind them getting certified, and they were getting certified, and they had taken the test a couple times before I did and failed, and it was kind of making me nervous in taking the test. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And it was like, I just can't get through the test. I was like, what do you mean? And it was like, yo, they give you 4 hours, and I can't. Like the questions are so crazy, I can't get through the test. I was like, what do you mean you can't? You do not finish all the questions? Yes, I finished all the questions. So what do you mean you can't get through the test? Well, I just can't finish them. I said, but you just told me that both times, even though you failed, you just told me that both times you got through the test. So it means that you can get through the test, but there's something in your mind telling you that that's not sufficient. What you're really saying is that I can't get through the test with a proper process, or I haven't gotten through the test implementing a proper process that allows me to actually answer the questions with the attention and focus that I need. That's what you're saying. But you have a belief that you can't get through the test. But evidence shows me that that's not true. So what your belief is not matching up with the evidence, because you got through the test and you had an hour left to go scribble down right stuff, right? So I wanted to give you that example that there are times in life where we will say, I can't, I don't, I've never, this is true. I'm telling you it's true. I'm telling you it's true. But if you dig in your life, you have a circumstance that 1000% contradicts what your belief is in the negative sense. Oh, there's never enough time. All right, let me look at your screen time that you have. Let me look at what you're doing, how many Netflix shows that you have. Let me look at all of that stuff and see if you really don't have enough time to study and do the things that you need to do. Right? There are desires, there are wants, there are things that actually hold people back. But sometimes their belief, there's something, right? The underlying belief is not actually true. So step 2 is replace the belief with the truth. And for those of you who actually feel some type of way, I actually just did a video on this, recorded a video. This will be out on Sunday, so watch that on the Bible study. Find it in Scripture, right? If you're a person who follows God and follow His ways, follow His ordinances, if you can't right off the top of your head, or if you can't really think and dig deep into what it is that you are actually, what the truth is that counters your belief, Find the belief in scripture, and I promise you, you'll be good, right? And then thirdly, implement the new belief, which is now an empowering belief. It's no longer a limiting belief. Implement it so that by creating a plan, that you enforce it, right? And it will help to tame the limiting belief from coming up in your life, right? So first and foremost, identify the belief. Identify the limiting belief. Secondly, replace the belief with a new empowering belief, with truth. And thirdly, start to walk in that belief, start to walk in that truth with a plan to actually get there. And sometimes this is where the affirmations come in when you are walking through your process. I've never been the type to be able to study charts. I actually can learn this because I've been learning new things my whole life. So charts is nothing but a new thing that I can learn. Okay, now that I'm learning charts, even when I mess up, I'm learning charts. Even when I mess up, I'm learning charts. This is part of my process of learning charts, right? So that's where your affirmations come from, to keep you from slipping back into the old limiting belief. Okay, so now I want to just make this clear before I close out. This is not an overnight process. Again, right? There's a thing called the echo effect. If I stand on top of the mountain and I call out whatever, Mr. B, you're gonna hear Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. B, right? Right? It's gonna echo until it comes down. Why? Because when I speak, the vibrations of the sound actually bounce off the walls and they come back to me in my head. This is the same way with limiting beliefs, and trying to break them with more now empowered beliefs. When I have limiting beliefs that I've walked in for so long, what's going to happen is that the residue of those beliefs, the echo of those beliefs are going to come. They're going to try to show up from time to time as you move forward. It's going to take time for that sound to stop vibrating and dissipate so that you no longer hear it. So what do I mean? If you believed for so long that you couldn't learn anything, there are going to be times when that is going to pop up in your head as you're learning something. Your job is to continue on the course. And now you need to create a new echo, a new empowered echo. Create that echo by continuing in your empowered belief. That's what it is. This is not an overnight process. This is not something that you're going to get. You just have to understand that everything that you want, everything that you desire, you already have the tools inside of you. And there is something that is blocking you. There is something that is keeping you from actually being able to see it, perceive it, and actually chase it with everything that you have. And that's what we're trying to break. That's what we're trying to get through. And you have the power to break it. You just have to go now. Get tough with that hammer, get tough with that axe, whatever it is, that wall that you're trying to break, that tree you're trying to chop down, that mountain that you're trying to move, whatever that thing is, it's in here and you have the tools. I just gave you some to now go break it. So until next time, I'll see you. If you like this content and you think somebody else might find it valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it. And as always, let's look to advance the kingdom in our lives and in the ones that we touch.